Hello everybody, my name is Karryshh and welcome back to another recap video. This time it's the latest Japanese horror movie, Poison Girl. It's about a family who comes to live in a house and soon finds out that they have a guest who comes uninvited. It's inspired by real events and it's a fun thriller horror watch where we see a happy family turn it into a toxic one. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and like this video cause I bring you horror from around the world. And with that said, let's dive into the video. So the movie begins with a couple who come to sneak around in an empty house. In a room, they find glass jars filled with rocks and twigs and accidentally they broke one of them. Then the couple starts messing around when suddenly the girl sees a shadow in the balcony that disappeared the next second. The guy goes to check it out, but he sees nothing until suddenly someone cut his ear off with a pair of scissors. That someone was a girl in red and she attacked on the couple. The guy tries to run away but couldn't, and then the girl fatally stabbed the guy with the scissors. Scene goes on a newly wedded woman named Hagino who's married to Atsuhiro, who already has a teenage daughter, Moika. This new family is moving into a new home, the same home we just saw the girl in red in. Moika and Hagino were close, and Moika wants to become a fashion designer just like Hagino. This was a normal family with a normal life, but the problem was with Atsuhiro, who was kind of a narcissist and he doesn't know how to treat her daughter and wife well, but he was trying his best in his eyes. That night, Atsuhiro told Hagino that he wants her to carry his child, and Hagino agreed to make Atsuhiro happy. But for Hagino, her stepdaughter Moika was enough. Next day, a woman named Kawazoi comes to meet with Hagino and Moika, who lives nearby. With their chit-chats, we find out that Moika doesn't go to school and she's being homeschooled. Here, Kawazoi talks about her dancer daughter, Yumiko, a lot and how she's doing well in her school. This was obviously to make Hagino jealous, but then Kawazoi tells Hagino that Yumiko's dancing competition is coming up and she wants Moika to design her costume. After a while, Hagino told Moika to design a new costume, but she didn't tell her why. Moika designed a costume and then Hagino updated that to be a dancing costume. Mother and daughter bonds while making that dress, and meanwhile, Atsuhiro was keeping track of Hagino's menstruation cycle. Next day, Hagino teaches Moika how to sew, but the girl in red was keeping an eye on this family, and Hagino was sensing her presence around. Soon they completed the dress, and Hagino revealed that it's for Yumiko, which comes as a shock for Moika, but she doesn't say anything. Now the two go to deliver the dress, and both Kawazoi and Yumiko ends up loving it. To thank Moika, she was gifted with color pens, but in the middle of that, Kawazoi tells Hagino to stay alert in her house, which confuses her. Next day, Moika was working on her design when Hagino comes and Moika tells her that she wants to look for her birth mother, who left her when she was little. But Hagino obviously doesn't like that, but she agrees anyway. Then a woman named Mrs. Isobe comes to meet with Hagino. Mrs. Isobe works for entertainment industry and she had an offer for Hagino. Isobe wants Hagino to design costume for a play, but Hagino says that she'll think about it after discussing it with Atsuhiro. At night, Hagino discusses this with Atsuhiro, but Atsuhiro denied to let her take the job cause he wants her to be pregnant soon. Next day, Hagino goes for a checkup when someone paid Moika a visit at home. Soon Hagino gets a call from Moika, and Moika sounded like she was in trouble. Moika told her mom to buy cakes and coke and come home as soon as possible. Hagino didn't know what's happening, so she bought the stuff and runs home, where she found her house completely trashed. Moika was on the ground and that evil girl was sitting on her with a pair of scissors. It scared Hagino and she told the girl to leave Moika alone, but the girl asks for cake and coke. Hagino gives the girl that and she leaves Moika alone. The girl eat the cake and drink the coke and scare the mother and daughter for a while before leaving in peace, saying, that she'll come back. At night, Hakino treats Moika's wounds, and now we find out that Moika's right hand is badly burned from a past incident, and that's why she wears a glove on it. After a while, Hagino tells Atsuhiro everything that happened, and she told him to call the cops, but Atsuhiro denied, cause cops can trigger Moika's past memories. Now while Hagino sleeps, she watches an old news video which was about Moika's past. Actually, you see, Moika's first mother was Haruka, and she was an alcoholic. Because of Haruka, the entire house burned down, and in that fire, Moika's hand was badly burned. However, Moika doesn't remember that, and she thinks her birth mother was a good woman. Next day, Hagino calls Mrs. Isobe and declines the job offer, but Mrs. Isobe tells her that she can accept the job anytime. Then Moika comes in the kitchen and her behavior was a bit different, as if yesterday's incident left a scar on her. That night, Moika makes a sweater design for her father, but Atsuhiro doesn't say thank you like he should. He even tells Moika that he likes the color blue and not yellow. Then late at night, Atsuhiro and Hagino had sex cause it was that time in her menstruation cycle. And then the next day, Hagino starts weaving that blue sweater for Atsuhiro. And meanwhile, Moika was now missing her real mother. Soon after that, Moika notices a cross in one of the upper corners in her room, and then she heard a noise in her parents' room. Moika goes to check it out, and there she sees something on the wall that shocks her when suddenly that evil girl appears behind her. Seeing the girl, Moika didn't react much, and then the girl showed Moika Hagino's menstruation cycle app. The girl reveals that Hagino is trying to get pregnant so she can replace Moika, and this was the biggest betrayal in Moika's life. Meanwhile, Hagino sees a big red cross on her laundry, and she instantly goes to find Moika. She finds her in their room, where Moika was staring at a big cross on their wall. This scared Hagino so much that she ends up calling the cops. Now a detective named Fukase comes to their house, and she brought Akimoto family with her. Here we finally find out what's going on, cause the cops already knew about the girl in red. Actually, you see, Akimoto family used to live in this house a year ago, and that little girl is named Shi-chan, who is the daughter of Akimoto family. She was a bit troubled, and one day she stabbed one of her classmates. That incident was the reason Akimoto family moved out, and Shi-chan was sent to a correctional facility. But for some reason, Shi-chan is obsessed with this house, and occasionally she runs away from the facility and causes trouble around this house. Akimoto family apologizes to Hagino, and Detective Fukase assure Hagino that Shi-chan will not escape that facility again. However, Moika heard the story of Shi-chan while eavesdropping. That night, Hagino tells Atsuhiro what happened, and Atsuhiro wasn't very pleased after knowing that his wife called the cops against his will. Hagino apologizes for her valid actions, and no one asks about Moika and how she's feeling. Obviously, this makes Moika feel bad and she leaves. Not only that, soon Atsuhiro admits that he already knew about that girl, and she actually fatally injured a man in this house, the man we saw in the beginning, and that was why the house was cheap. However, Atsuhiro doesn't apologize for his lies. Next day, Atsuhiro worked from home, and Hagino was a bit restless. She wanted to work and remembers how good of a designer she was, and that was why Hagino pulled out her sketchbook and started drawing, but Moika saw her. Moika asked Hagino why she's drawing cause she didn't take the job, but Hagino asked Moika to keep this a secret. Here Moika acts strangely as she disrespects Hagino and even tells her that she knows about her pregnancy plan. Hagino understands what's going on with Moika, but she just can't go against Atsuhiro's will. Then at night, Shi-chan comes to visit Moika, and Moika doesn't fear her at all. Shi-chan asks Moika about her stepmother, but now Moika wants to get rid of her stepmom, and from here, the two girls will start to bond. The next day was a housewarming party where everyone was saying good stuff about Moika's designing, but she felt lonely. Moika then goes to meet with Shi-chan, who was waiting for her in her parents' room, where Shishan gives Moika a pair of scissors. Soon Hagino feels the presence of Shishan in the house and she goes to investigate. And meanwhile, Moika furiously trashed her mother's entire room, broke her stuff and everything she loves. On the other hand, Atsuhiro comes face to face with Shishan and she throws cake at his face and runs away. Shishan scares everyone at the party and leaves, but following Shishan, Atsuhiro ends up discovering that Hagino has accepted the job offer. This causes an argument between Hagino and Atsuhiro, and Moika secretly was happy about it. Next day, Moika runs from the house and goes to hang out with Shishan near a river. Together they collect weird stuff, eat and drink all day, and then at night draws toxic pictures in Moika's room. They become best friends, and we can tell that Moika is now under the influence of Shishan. The next day, Hagino finds crosses on Moika's clothes, and she goes to talk to her, but Moika doesn't let her mom inside her room. After a while, Yumiko comes to meet with Moika, and when she sees those weird pictures in Moika's room, she knew something is going on. Yumiko actually wanted to become Moika's friend, and she even saw her at the party, trashing her mother's room. And even after all that, Yumiko tells Moika to stay away from Shishan, cause she's not a good girl. But Shishan heard all this from the balcony. Next day, Shishan takes Moika in a park and showed her a bottle hung from a string on a tree. There were bees around it, and then Shishan told Moika to bring Yumiko at this park cause she wants to dance with her. Moika agrees, but she didn't know what was going to happen. That evening, Moika, Hagino, Kawazoi and Yumiko comes to the park where Yumiko dances with her two friends, where suddenly Shishan appears and she shot honey out of a water gun on Yumiko, and then she threw a bottle full of bees at her. Soon all the bees starts biting Yumiko's face, and the playdate turns into a nightmare. Moika finally understands that Shishan is a dangerous girl, and she couldn't believe that all this happened because of her. Next day, Moika and Hagino paid Yumiko and Kawazoi a visit, where Moika was horrified after seeing Yumiko's swollen face, and Hagino somehow knew it was Moika's fault, and that was why Hagino confronted her, but Moika didn't tell her stepmother anything, which confirms her doubts. That night, Hagino discovers that she's pregnant, and Atsuhiro was hella happy, but Hagino was also doing business with Mrs. Isobe behind her husband's back. Meanwhile, Moika now tells Shishan to stop coming to meet her, but Shishan disagrees, and she tells Moika that they're best friends. Unfortunately, Yumiko and Kawazoi were passing from near their house that time, and they saw Moika and Shishan together. Next day, Kawazoi comes to meet with Moika and she asks her if she was behind the bee attack, but Moika just runs away. Kawazoi then blames Atsuhiro and Hagino for the attack as well, but Atsuhiro told Kawazoi to leave because she didn't have proof. Now later on, Atsuhiro was yapping about Kawazoi being delusional, but here, Hagino tells her husband that Moika is hiding someone in her room, and that person is very likely Shishan. According to Hagino, it's possible that Moika is behind the attack, but Atsuhiro denies this. Atsuhiro shut his wife up because she's not Moika's real mother, and this turns into a fight. Finally, Hagino tells Atsuhiro that he's a toxic man, and Atsuhiro grabbed Hagino's hair and pushed her away. Moika was watching all this, and now she knows how toxic her father was. That night, Moika couldn't sleep properly, and then the next day, Atsuhiro apologized to Hagino, but the latter takes a turn, because now Hagino denies to give birth to his child. She now wants an abortion, and she will not take no for an answer. Obviously, this enrages Atsuhiro, but he wants to handle this calmly on a family breakfast. Atsuhiro goes to fetch Moika, but she was not in her room. Moika was now running away with Shishan, and she wanted to be like her, no matter how strange and poisonous life she would have to live. She just wanted freedom. Shishan now paints Moika's white clothes as red, and meanwhile, Moika's parents now look for her around the town. Moika gets a red scissor of her own as she gives up on her normal life and become a poison girl just like Shan. The two spend the day together, paint their faces red, and eat and drink beer. After getting drunk, Moika talks about her birth mother and how she used to love her. But meanwhile, her stepmother wants to have another child so she can replace Moika. This gives Shan an idea, and she suggests that they should take revenge from her toxic parents. And since Moika was drunk, she agreed. In other words, we can see how small misunderstandings can lead to devastating results. Back on Atsuhiro and Hakino, who comes back home after they were unable to find Moika. But then back at home, their spine shivered when they find Moika drunk on the couch waiting for him. Now Atsuhiro kneeled in front of Moika and apologizes for everything, but it was too late, because now suddenly Shan attacks on Atsuhiro with her scissors. She stabbed Atsuhiro multiple times and make him fall to the ground. Hagino helps Atsuhiro as Shan stepped away, but now Moika pulls out her pair of scissors, scaring her parents. Atsuhiro tells Moika to put the scissors away and promise her a new beginning, but Moika doesn't stop. However, before she could attack, Hakino stepped in the way and told Moika to stop. Moika here tells her mother that she's not her mother, and then when there was a chance, Atsuhiro lunged on Shan. Atsuhiro began beating the hell out of that girl, but to save her friend, Moika ends up stabbing her dad in the back. Then Shan stabbed him in the neck, and the man falls to the ground and starts struggling for his life. Now it was Hagino's turn, and Moika attacked on her, but Hagino grabbed the scissors. Moika told Hagino that she won't let her give birth to that baby, but Hagino replied that she didn't want to give birth to this baby, which clears the air. Moika finds out that Hagino hates Atsuhiro as well, and actually she was under his pressure to carry this baby. Moika now no longer desires to kill her stepmother and she let her go, but Shan came and stabbed Hagino. Hagino cried in pain, and then Shan gave Moika the scissors and told her to finish the job. Moika now didn't want to kill, but Shan encourages her by stabbing her almost dead father again and splitting his chest open. Shan then tells Moika to do the same with Hagino, but Moika denies, and then obviously, Shan goes to finish the job herself. Hagino tries to run away, and Shan was about to kill her when Moika hit Shan hard on the head, knocking her out and saving Hagino. Moika then apologized to her mother, but Hagino was not mad at her, cause Atsuhiro was really a toxic husband and father. Hagino takes Moika in her room and they call the cops when suddenly the door opens and once again Shan attacked on mother and daughter, and this time she would kill anyone. This turns into a fight where Hagino ends up pushing Shan down the stairs. Shan lies motionless downstairs and mother and daughter thinks that she's dead. They take a deep breath, but the next second, Shan was not there, and it means she survived. Now scene goes a few days later where Hagino gets an abortion and she goes to meet Moika at the correction facility where she was placed. Moika is now behaving rationally and she was building a strong bond with her mother, and now when she will get out of there, she will live with her stepmom happily. On the other hand, we see a family of 4 who's now living in that same house, and they were dining outside in the yard, but we see the girl in red in the balcony above. This time Shan does something fatal. She dropped poisonous gas at the family. All 4 members die instantly, and this is where the movie ends. So this was the recap video of the movie Poison Girl, and I hope you have liked it. If you have, then please subscribe the channel and like this video. I really need your support to grow further. If you want to watch this movie, there's a link to my Telegram channel where I share movie links every now and then, so go subscribe there. I'm mostly active on Insta, so you can follow me there as well, and look into my other channel where we discuss about the mysteries of the world. All the links are in the description box. For now, I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, stay awake, cause they always see you.